Some 29 victims of yet another gory accident on the road or the Kintampo Road may have to be buried in mass graves after authorities concluded their bodies have been burnt beyond recognition.
To ensure that the bodies are kept well, pending preparation for whatever form of burial that we have to undertake, whether mass or whatever.
We'll hear from one of the survivors, a pregnant woman who lost a child she was traveling with and who says the driver of the U-turn bus was actually sleeping behind the wheel.
Driver no wada, anti driver no free no kwani, anti 207 no I to say obekwa fa ngure kwani.
An 80-year-old pensioner whose funds are currently locked up with investments firm Gold Coast pleads for government to intervene to have his monies paid.
I need money for my medicals. I'm not getting anything. I am more or less, I have more or less become a beggar on my relative.
Speaker of Parliament once again urges the media to abide by ethics guiding the profession so the legislature would banish thoughts of censorship.
We are willing to cooperate with the media without having the temptation of censoring anything.
And in business,
marketing companies prices as food prices continues to fall on international markets.
we will seek the views of an economist later in business. As the world marks International Women's Day, one widow is lamenting the outrageously slow court process as she fights to reclaim properties she was stripped of after the death of her husband.
Truth in court. If really there's truth in court, today they were so good and you think that, oh, they are just by your side. Tomorrow they'll change the story.
It's Ado, and Joy News Prime comes to you live from the Joy News Studios at Kukumlemle here in Accra with digital address GA0992539, where we are celebrating 25 years of fearless journalism in the defense of Ghana's freedom and justice. Stay tuned. Some 29 passengers who died in a gory accident on the Kintampo Road Monday dawn will most likely end up in a mass grave. This was after authorities concluded their bodies cannot be identified because they had been burnt beyond recognition. The accident involved a U-turn bus carrying mainly foodstuff from Boku in the Upper East region, which collided head-on with a Sprinter bus from Kumasi, which then burst into flames. About 6 survivors who suffered injuries were rushed to the Kintampo Hospital by first responders and are being treated. Some of the survivors of the accident have suggested the driver was asleep behind the wheels at the time of the crash. Erastus Asari Donko visited the accident scene earlier and has come through with this report for you.
11 of the passengers on board one of the buses were onion traders who were headed to Techiman. 6 of them survived the accident. So far, the death toll is 31, whilst 5 persons who managed to escape death are being treated at the Kintampo Hospital. A pregnant woman who survived the accident said the driver was sleeping behind the wheel.
Anti driver no free no kwani, anti 207 no I to say obekwa fa ngure kwani. Ona bus no amwasia. Anti tamaisi no ho so be hu si nipa do so pa because bin mu da say window na no sa. Nka ye do sa ebetumi ayi bebre so ye do so.
Another survivor narrates how he managed to escape from the burning vehicle.
Oye police ni.
Away.
Oh, won't you freeze the moko.
Up to now, it's me.
The municipal ambulance officer explained what they found at the scene.
Around 4:53 this morning, we had a call that accident happened at Gulumpe area. So I quickly mobilized my men and then we dispatched with my men to the scene. And we got here 4:59 exactly hours this morning. So when we got here, in fact, the information couldn't get to us quickly. But fortunately, we come the two buses, U-turn bus and then Sprinter bus. They collide. The U-turn bus is from Boku.
So how many people have you been able to transport?
Yes, for the people we are able to rescue, we had 6 people out of the total number of the 2 buses. Okay. And then 1 is okay. We transported 5 to the Kintampo Municipal Hospital and they are receiving treatment currently.
Municipal Chief Executive of the area, Michael Sarkodie Bafwo, spoke to Joy News.
We don't have any option except to maybe find out from the medical people if they have a way by which we can decipher one body from the other. Otherwise, we will have no option left to us than to, visit what happened, unfortunately, last year, mass burial. It's quite unfortunate, quite unfortunate. We will have to work together, all the agencies.
Does such situation bring burden on you as municipal, as districts?
Seriously, this, as you have seen, occurred within my jurisdiction. And so I have a responsibility to ensure that the bodies are kept well, pending preparation for whatever form of burial that we have to undertake, whether mass or whatever. We also have some legal issues involved here. We don't want to do things and later on family members of the deceased will come with lawsuits and all that. That why did you do ABC? So I'm sure that the police will do the needful.
Chairperson of the Ghana Academy of Art and Science, Professor Henrietta Mensah-Bonsu, says most of these accidents are as a result of miscalculation on the part of some drivers.
I think there are a number of factors. Certainly, there's a lot more movement at weekends for funerals and so on. People leave home very early, especially if they are doing day return.
Yeah.
They leave home very early. Sometimes they have not eaten, which means that their sugar level is low. They are making bad decisions on the road. And as a teacher, I've been taking interest in checking which of the drivers has a good sense of mathematics. Because sometimes in overtaking, you can tell it is poor calculation.
Yeah.
So we may not think of these things offhand, but in truth, some of the poor decisions are based on a poor sense of calculation as to whether I can overtake this vehicle and be safe.
The survivors are on admission at the Kintampo Hospital.
Us now with the very latest is Erastus Asari Donko, who has spent most of the day at the scene. Erastus, what's the latest on this accident? Erastus, can you hear me? About that, the Kintampo stretch has in recent years become notorious for such gory accidents. A similar accident on the stretch claimed some 60 lives in March 2016. Again, the bodies had to be buried in a mass grave. So what exactly is being done about the road? Emma Morrison, who hosted the Pulse today, has been speaking with the Director of Planning at the National Road Safety Authority, Henry Asumene, who also confirms eyewitness accounts that the driver of the U-turn bus was actually sleeping.
There's preliminary investigations. As at now, it just happened this month, but preliminary investigations shows that, one, it was a head-on collision, and there were 2 buses. One was I hear people say U-turn, but I think from preliminary investigation, it's a Grand Bed bus.
A Grand Bed, yes.
A Grand Bed bus. And then the other one was a Sprinter bus. One was heading towards the Grand Bed, one was coming from Tamale, and the other one was heading towards Tamale. And from preliminary investigation, the accident happened on the lane of the Sprinter on that shoulder, which meant that the Grand Bed bus went off his lane into the lane of the Sprinter, who even tried to swerve onto the shoulder, and the accident happened there. Yeah. If you look at this, it's very similar to what happened some time ago, where we lost about 35 people on the Cape Coast Takoradi Road. Preliminary investigation also shows that it hasn't been confirmed yet, but it shows that the driver of the Grand Bed bus was a little sleepy. So if that is confirmed, then it means that there was fatigue, and fatigue is the major cause of this accident. And we've always said that fatigue is one of the major causes of fatal accidents, because when the driver is sleeping, he doesn't even see the danger for him to try to avoid it.
Okay, so let's go back to Erastus Asare Donkor, who has spent most of his day at the accident scene.
Action. Go. Right, so we are coming from the accident scene at Kintampo. The accident occurred at Dawadawa number 2. What we do know as at the moment is that we have 31 people confirmed dead, some of them bent beyond recognition, and we had 6 people surviving. Out of the 6, 5 of them were transferred to the Kintampo Government Hospital, but as we speak, they've all been discharged, left with one pregnant woman who lost a 12-year-old girl to the accident, and she is doing okay according to health professionals. Now, 2 of the bodies have been identified as drivers of the Yutong bus and the Sprinter bus as well. But as to the others, it's difficult at the moment identifying them, and many families have been coming in, and it's a Muslim community, and so many of them have been coming in trying to identify the bodies and take them away. But health professionals are saying that they need to go through a rigorous process to see whether they can get any identification tags on the bodies to be able to identify them. But the last option they are looking at is that if they are not able to identify them, it's possible that they will conduct a mass burial for all of them. I must say that what is happening on that particular stretch, according to drivers, is a lot of fatigue for many of the drivers who drive long distances on that stretch. And then we're talking about, it looks like a motorway, so there is so much speeding on that particular stretch. So that is the cause that many are attributing towards this whole accident on the Kintampo Tamale stretch.
Thank you very much, Erastus. We wish everybody well, and those who have lost their relatives, we give them our condolences. When her husband died in 2013, the family took away every property they had together, including her clothes and even her son's birth certificate. Patience Akpelezoya, a resident of Bolgatanga in the Upper East region, says she tried to settle the case traditionally, but when arbitration failed, she tried the courts. For more than 5 years, the court case remained unsolved. As the world marks International Women's Day, Patience wants government to do more to protect widows. Jojo Kobna has more.
Patience Akpelezoya is the founder and head of Multi-Skills Smoke Weaving Center in Bolgatanga in the Upper East region. With an eagle eye, she supervises her workers to ensure they deliver the best work. Everything looks seemingly good, but beneath the surface, she's seething with anger. According to her, when her husband died, his relatives took away every property they had.
He said, I don't even want to remember things. My husband was lying in the mortuary while they came and they were searching for property. They came and asked me to give my husband documents to them. Before I realized, they took everything, even concluding my son, who was 1 year, 3 months. They took his birth certificate out. Every day, they will bring their girls to the house and be cursing me that if I didn't go, this thing will happen to me, this thing will do this.
She narrates that her late husband forced her to sell off her motorbike and gave her some money to buy a car. That car was also taken away from her.
I was using motor by then. And before I gave birth to my baby boy, my husband said he will not allow me to ride the motor again. So I should sold my motor and he will buy a car for me. So I sold the motor 12 million and I gave it to my husband. So before my husband bought the car, he said, this is my car. He bought it for, he gave me the key and said, that's my car. They tell me that if I didn't give them the documents, then I won't stay in the house. And I also tell them that if they say I won't stay in the house, then I don't have problem. If they sack me away, I don't have problem. I don't want to go out and they say my husband died and I've gone and leave my husband. But if they are sacking me, I don't have problem.
She took the case to court after all attempts to settle it traditionally failed. But the case has been in court for more than 5 years and not concluded yet.
There's no truth in court. If really there's truth in court, today they'll talk good and you think that, oh, they are just by your side. Tomorrow they'll change the story. They were doing like that 6 good years without anything. So I just... don't have faith in the court at all? No, I don't have faith. Even if somebody take my billions, I don't think I'll send it to court. Well, I'll just give it to the person and pray. Okay, so I will send it to court. Really, I was growing mad. The time I was in court, when you see me, you won't take me pesos. I was growing mad. I was just like a mad woman because they were frustrating me more.
As the world celebrates International Women's Day, Patience wants government to do more to protect widows. Jojo Kobna, Joy News.
This story is part of Joy News Hotline documentary on widows, coming soon on your Joy News channel. When 80-year-old pensioner Kwesi Gilbert Arthur invested his over 100,000 Ghana cedis with Gold Coast Investments, he did so because he wanted to enjoy a trouble-free retirement. But his worst nightmare has come to pass as he is unable to access his locked-up funds with the company. He is now one of the hundreds of aggrieved customers who are saying they will vote against the governing New Patriotic Party if President Akufo-Addo does not intervene and help them to retrieve their monies. Maxwell Agbagba has more in this report.
The auditorium is charged with more than 200 people with red hair and armbands. Chants of no money, vote against reverberate at all sides of the meeting room. I've met the 80-year-old man. He says life has become difficult without access to his invested retirement package.
I've invested well over 130,000. I was to pay my nephew's fees at Ghana Telecom. I couldn't pay. Apart from that, I need money for my medicals. I'm not getting anything. I am more or less, I have more or less become a beggar on my relatives.
Grandpa Kwesi's story is similar to all the people gathered here in this room. Civil servant Isaac Labi is part of the aggrieved customers heavily chanting, "No money, vote against." He says the group will vote against the President Akufo-Addo-led government if nothing is done to help them get their monies.
The blood of the people are crying day and night on their head. They cry, the blood of the people. People are dying. People are getting stroke. People are going through trauma. They are blood. They are blood. The blood of the people is crying on their head. We all voted for MPP to come to power. But little did we know, this is what they were coming to do.
A businesswoman, Prescott Negle, supports the no money, no votes decision taken by the group.
Yes, vote against means if government refuses to pay us with the suffering for investors our money, they will vote against him. Which government don't like that? Not any president like that. So I will plead with the government. They should act now and give us our money.
A heated atmosphere here at the meeting ground. Addressing the press, Public Relations Office of the Aggrieved Customers, Charles Nyami, served notice that they will be hitting the streets on 24th March 2020 in protest of their locked up funds. He is also calling on the clergy and the chief imam to intervene for them to retrieve their locked up funds.
If the Nana-led administration really cared about the suffering of the customers, then he should put in measures to fix this situation before March 24, 2020, which day we would be holding a mammoth demonstration on the streets of Accra against his government. We have also resolved as a group with our families and sympathizers and loved ones to vote against this current government during the upcoming general election if our concern is not addressed.
The meeting has ended, and now Evangelist Florence Vida Adri, a Reverend Minister herself who invested thousands of Ghana cedis at the Gold Coast Fund Management, is leading the group to pray. They believe they have done all that they could in the physical realm. They're praying for spiritual intervention. Maxwell Agbaba, Joy News.
Sandra is here with the business news. Sandra, what's
Hello,
new
good
in
to
the...
see you.
Good to see you.
It's
Happy
been
Women's
long
Day.
on the screens.
Happy Women's Day.
Same to
Each
you.
for equal.
I know, right? And so we have a lot to talk about. You know, oil prices have been coming down drastically on the international markets. But here in Ghana, we're still having to pay more at the pump. So
Is there any reflection in you know, or correlation between what's happening at the world market and what's happening here in Ghana?
Well, we are not seeing prices coming down, and you know the main cause of this prices coming down is because of the coronavirus, and so a lot of stocks are responding, but OMCs are not doing the honorable thing by reducing prices, so we'll be having that conversation in business. All right, so celebrating 25 years of joy. My name is Sandra Esinam and I'm here for business. Trading in U.S. shares was briefly suspended after sharp falls led to an automatic halt in the selling and buying of stocks. Once trading is resumed, the three major U.S. stock indexes went down over 6%. Meanwhile, South Africa's rand plunged by almost 8% against the dollar. Monday touching its weakest level on a closing basis since January 1980 as investors fled riskier assets, with tumbling oil prices adding to nervousness spurred by the spreading coronavirus. Despite these developments, consumers here in Ghana are still paying more for fuel at the pump. Joining me via Skype is Dr. Eric Esibe, and he's an economist. For more on this development, thanks so much, Doctor, for your time. So generally, if you can hear me, this doesn't look good for investors globally, but what's the possible way out? Because central banks are cutting rates. The IMF is also pledging to support weak economies, but is this the way to go? And what is the way, especially for the ordinary investor?
Well, I think it's a troubling time for investors because we all don't know what is going to happen tomorrow because once the coronavirus and then uncertainty becoming the new order, it's very difficult for investors to now predict which asset guarantees a positive yield that they should put their investment in because currently as share values and share prices are tumbling, and at the same time commodity prices also going down, it is difficult for investors to gauge really which asset provides safe haven for their investments. And so it's really quite a troubling time for investors as of now. But given the policy response, what Fed is doing, reducing the Fed rate, and then the IMF and others pledging support for the market, I think that confidence level might come up, particularly as the spread of coronavirus has slowed in China. That appears to be giving some bit of confidence to the market as of now.
All right, well said, Doctor. But you spoke about the IMF's pledging support for weak economies, but I was asking earlier about the ordinary investor who has already invested in oil on different or various stocks across the world. What should they be doing now? Some are already selling their stocks, but what's the best way out?
Well, I think they have to have a wait and see attitude. I think there's no point they panicking because I don't think it will fall continuously as it's doing. It's going to stop. I think there's some kind of panic movement in the market, and therefore the investors that are bothered will hold on to the prices now could gain in the future. Sell-off may not help, it will rather worsen the situation. And so I think investors should adopt a wait-and-see attitude and to see what happens in the market. Since one would say nowhere cool, commodity market is not doing that well, and then the stock prices are also not doing well. So I think it's better for investors to hold on to see what's going to happen. I'm sure there's going to be a reversal very soon.
Interesting. Let's bring it back home here in Ghana. And companies like Tullow are already struggling. And so with this new development of oil prices coming down, this is definitely going to deepen their woes, right?
Definitely. I mean, it's going to reduce their share value significantly, and it's going to really affect their bottom line going forward. But like I said, I think there's no point in panicking and for them to begin to withdraw. I think it behoves, it's inured to their benefit if they stay calm and hold on to their investment as of now. Otherwise, because I'm very sure that the situation will normalize very soon. There's some kind of panic movement of capital across the globe, and once we begin to see some policy responses from central bank easing up rates, and then also with the slow spread, I do believe that we're going to see some stability, relative stability in the near future. Yeah.
All right. Hopefully we see that. But one major issue of concern to a lot of people here in Ghana is prices of fuel at the pumps. I mean, when this whole coronavirus issue started, the OMCs responded and said, we don't have to run this with emotions, but this is not going to be something that will last. But we've seen prices coming down drastically today, selling around $36 a barrel. So, and a lot of people have said that it will go down further. Is it just fair that prices come down? For COPEC, for instance, they are asking for nothing less than 10% reduction at the pumps.
Well, I think to a large extent it's justified because if you look at the price build-up, there are two key variables that determine price, and this is the exchange rate and then the crude oil prices. And so over the last couple of weeks, we've seen that the currency has stabilized relatively. I mean, the performance is actually appreciated in value, and also given the plunging of oil prices, reducing from an average of $60 per barrel to around $33 per barrel. I think it's only normal that the automatic price adjustment is kicked in to begin to reflect in export prices so that the consumers will benefit. Because, I mean, once prices are going down and the cedi has stabilized, I think that the pass-through effect should be passed on to consumers. Otherwise, it will not make any sense for the OMCs to come to us adjusting the prices upward when prices begin to increase or the currency begin to depreciate. So, yeah, 5 to 10%, in my view, is a call in right direction.
I'm grateful for your time. Dr. Eric Esibe is an economist, and we'll be talking about a reduction in oil prices globally and the impact here in Ghana. That will be all for business for now with me, Sandra S. And I'm up and on back after 8 p.m. with more business. You do stay tuned in.
Welcome back. Age did not hold back patrons of Joy FM Conquer Ghana tour, as participants as young as 8 and as old as 75 years took up the challenge in conquering some of the country's historical sites in 48 hours. The tour, which forms part of activities marking the Ghana Month, took participants to the Central, Ashanti, Bono East and Savannah regions, leaving them in awe of tourist attractions the country has on offer. Joy News editor Araba Kumsin joined the trip and has come through with this report.
Around Ghana in 48 hours, that was the challenge the Joy FM Conquer Ghana tour offered, and more than 60 people signed up for the encounter, including 75-year-old Charlotte Arabasam.
Oh, I love traveling, and I told my children, this my special birthday. I want nothing but a trip. And I heard the Joy trip on the radio whilst driving, so I told my kids, buy me the ticket, I want to go with them. And I'm so much overwhelmed.
The first stop was at the Cape Coast Castle in the Central region, where tour guides led the team through the poorly ventilated dungeons where slaves were held captive by the colonialists. This story has been told several times in history books, but for the Conquer Ghana patrons, this experience hit close to home.
Everybody who comes to this tour and being told of all those historical accounts, you definitely at a point in time get emotionally at least involved in there, and you might feel at least letting some few tears out.
The team was also led to Asin Manso, where slaves were often brought on foot to be headed to the castle, where they were auctioned before being shipped off. Our next lesson in history was at the Ashanti region's Menchia Palace Museum, where the region's rich culture has been very well preserved, and our team did not lose sight of that.
I've seen things since 1982 times, since 18 times, that I couldn't believe that is the original.
The way they've preserved the Dauri culture, they've never let it. And even in there, we're not allowed to take pictures. So it means they are confining the things to themselves. Exactly. So that there's no dilution in history. When you come, you pay a fee, they walk you through, and then you are done.
History lessons over, we headed to the Kintampo waterfalls in the Bono East region, where the patrons took up the challenge of walking down a flight of over 200 steps to the banks of the waterfall, as well as the canopy walkway. Our final destination was the Savannah region for a safari experience at the Mole National Park, where participants observed elephants and crocodiles in their natural habitat. Our last stop was at Larabanga, where the oldest mosque in West Africa, built in Sudanese architectural style, is sited. One of the youngest participants, 8-year-old Dorothy Ejay, tells me, after reading about this popular building in history books in class, visiting the mosque with the Conquer Ghana team made more meaning for her.
My history teacher told me that when the man died, they buried him, and then after he died, the leaves inside that tree became holy. So if you are sick, you take it, you survive. But I asked one of the men, and they said that it's not in this man. You have the man that we take the leaves and use it for this.
For those who may want to come on the Conquer Ghana tour next time, what do you have to tell them?
I have to tell them that if they are children, they should try and convince their parents that they want to learn something about the historical site. I just say that they should try and convince others that they should come to join the Conquer Ghana.
Welcome back. It's now time for Showbiz, and this evening we have with us Rosemond Brown, but she prefers to be called Equiapim Polo. She's here to tell us what's happening in the showbiz world. Good evening.
Evening.
How are you? What's happening with the showbiz?
All right. So with this edition of Idepenyu news on Joy News, over the weekend, the ground arena of the Accra International Conference Center was the place to be. The likes of Kojo Entry, Still Pause, and episode gave patrons a time of their lives through their performance at the Remedy show. Check it out.
see you could not be bad man. Veteran man, shutting this up in liquor, me look at this a hard one.
Bello, how did you find that particular concert?
So great.
Were you there?
I wasn't there myself, but I was watching it.
Oh,
you
okay.
know, and you know I love entertainment and energetic, so the performance was great.
Did you like episode? Because you know I was saying to you earlier that I am getting so old that I didn't even know.
That guy is so energetic and he's powerful. He knows how to give it to them. And we will also receive it for him.
But you know me, I'm old school, so Kojo still post definitely will do it for me.
Very well, you know. So, you know, the Remedy show was not only the event that happened over the weekend.
Another show happened?
Yeah, the movie Aloe Vera.
Were you there?
Oh, I don't want to talk about it. The premiere at the Silverbird in Accra, West Mall, and it saw hundreds of people in attendance. Just take a look. I won't talk much.
Aloe Vera started generating a lot of buzz among movie lovers when producers first announced a decision to build an entire community from scratch just for the production. From the construction of the community to the shooting of the film, there was a clear and overall conscious effort to submit a standout project in the cinema. That, according to Peter, has been achieved.
Well, I mean, anytime I make my movie, I expect people to come in and watch it. And so when we made this film, we expected that people to come and see it. And I know that people are not stupid, excuse my language, or they are not dumb. When they see something that is promising, something that is good, they know it and they'll fall for it and they come to watch it. And so I feel that people are just here to support our hard work, and that is what I can say. And you can see, I've even lost my voice because we're quite excited that people are here to see it and they're happy about it.
Joy News caught up with some of the cast and they shared their excitement with us.
It was a very, I was indecisive in the beginning, and then I was sold when I got on set and I saw just how much work had gone into it. And now I'm just filled with pride. Seeing how everybody is so in love with the movie, I'm filled with so much gratitude. And I'm really, really, really humbled. So at this point, I'm just grateful.
It's by the grace of God. We went out there to tell people to come out to watch Aloe Vera, and they came out. And I want to say a very big, big, big thank you to everybody. And it's still showing. But tonight is amazing. I just can't wait to be at the Accra Mall to see the crowd over there.
It was interesting. The storyline was awesome. We had a wonderful cast. And we had some few challenges here and there on the set, but at the end of the day, we were able to pull through. I must say it's one of the sets I actually really, really loved, 2019.
Call this movie a special movie in the sense that it's got everything a good movie must have. And I mean, you just saw the movie and you know, and you have realized what I talked about the other time. It's amazing. The storyline, the cast, the locations, you know, virtually everything was just properly done.
Aloe Vera, a movie which talks about the essence of loving one another, has officially opened in cinemas across the country.
You know, over the weekend I was talking to somebody. The person is not Ghanaian. They will say that sometimes when they buy the movies, they can't even tell if it's Ghanaian or Nigerian anymore.
Very. And when it comes with Peter, you won't go wrong.
Yes.
All his movies, they are on point. So
So
Yeah.
we're talking about. Have you seen the Kiddie video?
Yeah. That was what I wanted to talk about. He surprised me. How can a high life artist go on magnified song like that? Gospel song. I was overwhelmed and I had goosebumps. How do we call it? Yes, all over my body.
Goosies.
It's not easy.
Even I was touched. Let's see the video.
Yeah, let's
my heart and in my soul. Oh Lord, be my.
That's North American worshipper Donald James, popularly known as Don Moen, performing his Be Magnified song. Neither it is a lead singer of a choral group performing a rendition of the 1998 Christian gospel hit. In fact, what you're hearing is high life artist Kiddie during an assembly of entertainers at the Reverend Abiam Amponsa Danso's church. If you thought that was a fluke, then listen to the 30 billion hit maker do another rendition of the popular local gospel Sun Sum Nyum at the same gathering of the stars. Kiddie becomes the latest to try a gospel performance. Kwame Eugene Efia, Calvin Boy, and Stone Boy have all been seen in videos worshiping or praising God.
That was touching.
Very. And do you know that Wendy Shea too is good at that?
I haven't actually heard Wendy Shea sing gospel, but I've heard Kwame Eugene. I've actually heard maybe Samini and other people singing songs like that. On another news, Parliament says it is willing to abandon all thoughts of censorship of the media if only practitioners would abide by their ethics. The remarks by the Speaker, Professor Aaron Michael Okoye, at the launch of the 70th anniversary celebrations of Graphic Communications Group Limited comes after a few weeks after an incident in which Parliament which many believed was an attempt to gag the media. Joy News PACA Nana Yao Safu was there and has filed the following report.
It is forbidden to cover proceedings in this honorable house and go outside the chamber itself and do some other work other than coming to cover proceedings in this honorable house. I have reminded you of the fact that you are here as guests. Any such deviation will make you an unwelcome guest.
These comments by the Speaker were considered by many as an attempt to stifle media freedom, even though the Speaker disagrees. He reiterated the media would have to respect the rules of Parliament. Speaking at the launch of the 70th anniversary of the Graphic Communications Group Limited, Professor Michael Okoye again reiterated the legislature respects media freedom, but added a caveat.
Let me assure that in Parliament, we are in position and are most willing to cooperate with the media and give every opportunity for the media to report without having the temptation of censoring anything. Nevertheless, we expect that as a Republic House, you will give us all the appropriate decorum. I believe with all my heart that is not too much to ask.
The launch brought together experts in the field of journalism, representatives from government, traditional heads, and many other walks of life. Daily Graphic was launched in October 1950, 7 years before Ghana gained independence. Other brands such as The Mirror, Graphic Showbiz, Junior Graphic, and Graphic Sports have also made the Graphic Communications Group a household name. The special guest of honor used the opportunity to share his personal story about the brand.
The graphic virtually first taught me to read when I was about a 5-year-old boy at Asamankesi. When graphic was born, I was 5 years old. Reading was quite innate in me, and my parents, especially my father, was keen on it. My house was a record of daily graphic.
Speaking on behalf of the Ghana Journalists Association, its president, Afil Moni, also praised the group for its worthy performance over the years.
So if graphic is celebrating 70, the media community in Ghana as a whole stands by them, and we hope that graphic will model the way, show the way for others, by way of business ethics, by way of not only quality journalism, but how to survive in the turbulent atmosphere in which we find ourselves.
The Graphic Communications Group Limited assured the public of reliable service, especially in this year's election. Professor Kwame Kakari chairs the GCGL board.
Its professionalism and serve this country. This year is the election year, and Graphic wants to assure all Ghanaians that it will serve its role as an independent newspaper, a newspaper that is reliable, that can be depended on for good record and for presenting the story to the satisfaction of all, so that we will continue to build our democracy with Graphic serving that purpose.
PSA Nana Yausafo, Joy News.
Police in the Volta region is interrogating 4 persons arrested in connection with the murder of Assembly member for Sugakope South electoral area, Marcus Ajahili. The Assembly member was shot and killed in his home on March 1st by unknown assailants who made away with unspecified sums of money. News of his murder sparked spontaneous protests, with residents blocking the Accra-Flahu Road at Sugakope Bridge and burning tires, causing toll booth operators to flee. The Volta Region Police has meanwhile announced a review of operational and administrative protocols at the Sugakope Police Station. A statement by the police reads: 4 arrested in connection with murder of Assemblyman for Sugakope South electoral area. 4 persons have been arrested on suspicion for their involvement in the killing of the Assemblyman for Sugakope South electoral area. The 4 are currently assisting police investigation and will be duly arraigned before court. The police is working assiduously in partnership with all relevant stakeholders to arrest anyone involved in the killing of the Assemblyman, and also calls on the public for support. In another development, 2 police officers have also been arrested and are currently in detention following the disappearance of 1 service rifle at the Sugakope police station on 7th March 2020. The Regional Police Command has directed that the 2 suspects are quickly transferred to the regional headquarters to assist in investigations. Investigation so far does not suggest any link between the missing weapon and the murder of the Assemblyman. Note that the weapon in question disappeared on 7th March 2020, whereas the unfortunate killing of the Assemblyman happened on 1st March 2020. This is only an unfortunate coincidence, and the command is resolved to get to the bottom of it. The situation at Sugakope Police Station requires a review of the operational and administrative protocols, and the command is determined to do so. The command seizes the opportunity to also urge the media particularly to exercise great restraint and circumspection in their reportage so as not to mislead the public. The public is once again encouraged to support the police in their work in order to apprehend those behind the killing of the Assemblyman. Meanwhile, former President John Mahama is urging the police to expedite action in pursuit of the perpetrators. Mr. Mahama led a team of NDC officials to console the family of the bereaved over the weekend.
It is God who gives and God who takes. It's sad that his life should have been taken in this way. Young, promising, enterprising person, and the least we can do is to condole with you and ask you to accept what God has done. But we must seek justice for him, and we call on the security services to make sure that they redouble their efforts and find out whoever were behind this action.
Former President Jerry John Rawlings on Friday also took advantage of the Independence Day celebrations in the Sogakope district to show solidarity with the people of the area. The former president also urged the police administration to equip its men to enable them to perform their roles effectively, urging the people and the security agencies to be vigilant to prevent such violent criminal attacks.
I'm also here today to solidarize with you. I should have been in Kumasi for the national parade, but I sought permission to absent myself and to be here to join you to express my condolences, my sympathies with all that's happened over the last month or so, and especially the one that happened a few days ago. I hope that correct information will be coming through to enable us to deal with those responsible for that savagery. And I think some of these things happen or are happening because some of the killings that have been going on in this country, and especially in this area, are not being dealt with appropriately. So people feel they can do things like that with impunity and get away with it because they will not pay the price with their lives as well. Ladies and gentlemen, let's be very vigilant to prevent this sort of thing. And I'm saying so especially to the police administration. They should be equipped to do their jobs properly.
His physical disability would not allow him to have a shot at education at the preschool level. Single-parent mother tutored him until he was old enough to begin schooling midstream in class 3, passed the basic education certificate examination with distinction. Having braved the initial storm, he's in his first year of senior high school, aspiring to become a medical doctor, and that has attracted presidential attention. That's the story of 16-year-old Marvin Ochre of Opukowari School, who is defying all odds to pursue his dream. He's one of a few students who received awards at the school's 68th Speech and Prize-Giving Day over the weekend in Kumasi, where he attracted attention of the gathering, including the presidency. Nana Asensu engaged him and his mother for the following report.
Marvin struggles to climb a staircase every day, falling and rising again now and then to access the classroom.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
Often, big occasions such as school anniversaries put the spotlight on dignitaries and their speeches. Physically challenged Marvin stole the show this time around as he was given a standing ovation when he was mentioned to receive an award with President Akufo-Addo in attendance. His recognition evoked emotions from the crowd, with some struggling to hold back tears.
Mom was the one who taught me at home, so I already know ABCD and how to read a little bit. So when I went to school, it was very easy for me.
So, which class did you start your school?
Class 3. Class 3.
Class 3. Wow. So when you started class 3, how was it like? Tell us more.
That time, I was second. I didn't know how it came about. And I completed GHS and I got a grade 8 in the BCE. And then I attended Opukowari School, and my wish is to become a doctor.
Marvin's mother, Rebecca Ochre, a single parent who has stood by him and yet another child who is also physically challenged.
I made up my mind to raise the kids on my own. So it's by God's grace and my hard work that has been keeping us going.
Nti omu mienu ne de emoa na mehia de ne dɔɔso paa betimi nkɔgye nso emfiri obi agye sɛ mmerɛ ne yɛ den edu nti emoa de mehia bebre because na brebi.
Some people came to me to help the kids undergo surgery, but I didn't hear from them again. I really need help to take care of them so they don't end up begging by the roadside.
Nti operation sem ene emuan kakra de me fanse mehia se de metime de a support no no mo nso o ma me ya yale from betran kwanchen asresre.
The 80-year group of Opokwari School, which hosted an anniversary, handed Marvin a wheelchair and undisclosed amount of money. The president capped it with a pledge to assist mother to take care of him and his sibling. For Joy News, Nana Asensumensa reporting.
Hello again, let's do more business news. Petty traders in part of the Central Business District of Accra operating along the Accra and Swam Rail line have been given 48 hours to vacate or face ejection. According to the Ghana Railway Company Limited, the existence of these traders continues to pose a threat to the safety of the rail sector. That's more in the following report.
The Ghana Railway Company has warned persons living closer to railway lines not to undertake activities which have negative effects on the lifespan of the railway. The company embarked on a similar exercise last year and promised to construct a fence wall but has been constrained with funds. Here is Minister of Railways, Joe Gate, lamenting the destruction caused by these encroachers.
We can't have a few people holding the nation to ransom. It costs money to do this thing, and we can't have people encroaching, crossing the line. One of the reasons why the Sawam line has not opened yet is because people were sand winning. They were winning sand under the line. So it became too dangerous to move. And so the encroachers is a battle. It is not a war. So that we'll see who will give up first. But I want to assure them that I'm a long distance runner. If you look at, there are certain places that you can walk, but you can't walk the whole line. And the amazing thing about railway is that, when you start doing the railway, then people start moving towards the line. I don't know what kind of magnet it is.
However, speaking with Joy Business, Accra area manager of the Ghana Railway Development Authority, Pauline Emisa, disclosed that the demolition exercise will resume this week.
We'll start on Wednesday, and we are starting from Accra railway station to Alaju station. And we want to remove the traders who are trading along the lines, those who have put up structures, those who park cars, and those who rear goods. We have cow, goats, people all along the line, you see them. We wish they will move away and go once and for all and they don't come back.
The demolition is expected to pave way for the Accra and Sawam lines to resume operations. Eben Sabote's report for Joy Business.
Meanwhile, rail travelers along the Takoradi-Kojo-From stretch within the next 2 weeks would have to wait a bit longer. This is because engineers say they have to add new variations to accommodate construction of standard gauge line from Kojo-Krom to Manso. Natalia Kwanzaa has more.
The passenger service on the Takoradi to Kojo-Krom line has been shut down for 2 weeks to enable engineers Amandi Ghana to construct culverts through which the new standard gauge line that runs prior to the old narrow gauge. In all, Amandi Ghana is building 8 culverts from kilometer 16 to kilometer 20 on the Takoradi to Tarkwa existing narrow gauge line. However, consultant to the Western Rail Line Team Engineering hopes to take advantage of the shutdown to continue with the construction of more culverts where necessary on the Kojo-Krom to Tarkwa stretch. A proposal to that effect has been sent to the Ministry of Railway Development pending approval. Deputy Resident Engineer for Team Engineering, Peter Fokat.
Service on the narrow gauge can be open after 2 weeks, but as the minister just said, we discussed some interesting proposals with him just yesterday to take advantage of the shutdown, because it's an opportune moment to explore other proposals in terms of the alignment to save time and cost. In some areas where we have the existing narrow gauge running parallel to the standard gauge, we're looking at proposals to explore constructing the standard gauge on the left-hand side, for example. That will mean we've got to cross it, and that will mean we've got to halt the services for much longer. We think this is an opportune moment to do it, but we haven't yet got the final approval from our client.
Minister of Railways Joe Garte indicated that the new standard gauge line being built will last for more than 100 years. He noted the ministry will consider any expert views to guarantee the integrity of the lines.
This is a major infrastructure project. It's $1 billion project. If we rush and go and do it, in future they will ask us questions. As I'm speaking, there are certain places in Ghana that construction will start maybe in 3, 4, 5 months' time, that they are actually marking the houses that have to be destroyed. They are going through the process of how costing the compensation and so on, so that by the time the Amandis of the day and the Africans of the day come onto the site.
In other news tonight, Ghana is looking to access $62 billion coronavirus fund. Details coming up in the business news summaries.
Gets its first ever Payment Systems Advisory Committee to guide the Bank of Ghana on regulation and oversight, operational and technical stance of the payment systems, and any other matters affecting payment services clearing and settlement of payments. The GNA reports for effective discharge of its responsibilities, the Advisory Committee will harness the expertise of stakeholders through the establishment of working groups on the various thematic areas of the payment systems operations.
So things are not looking well for crude oil at all. It's sold today at $36.33 a barrel. Details in the commodity news. That will be all for business tonight with me, Sandra S. And I'm up and log on to myjoyonline.com/business for more business news updates. Thanks so much for watching.
So in sports, imagine this scenario. Your wife witnesses an assault on you. What would you do when she tells you to choose between your job as a coach of a big club, such as Great Olympics, and the marriage? Well, in this piece on how poorly Accra Great Olympics have fared this season, a former coach of the club is among those who gave us a sense of the issues surrounding the team.
It wasn't planned. It wasn't planned at all. Had it not been the attitude of that supporter, I believe I would have still been the head coach of Accra Great Olympics.
What does supporter do?
After our match against Wafa FC, we all saw what happened. The officiating didn't help at all. We had some penalties which were ignored. Apart from that, we had some infringements around the penalty area which we could have utilized if we had been given those opportunities. Unfortunately, we lost that match by a lone goal. So after the match, some supporters, I won't say all Olympic supporters, but like I told you, Olympics have fantastic supporters, some who even support you even in defeat. So those supporters started expressing their reservations, but it was verbal initially. So I wasn't bothered. After the match, I had to go for a post-match interview. So I did that. When I was going back, I realized that the point of entry had been locked, so I had to come out. And I came out from the main, side of the stadium where the supporters. Some supporters were guarded, so they started making, some negative utterances and all that. Some were saying, why didn't I use certain players? Some also said that some players were brought to me, and I decided not to register them and all that. I never uttered a word. I just went for my bag, and then one of the supporters followed me to where I was going to pick my bag, and assaulted me. Actually hit me and pushed me in addition, and that happened in the presence of my wife. My wife normally comes to the stadium to watch my matches. So that day she was there, and she was also coming to me when she saw that I was coming from the room where I did a post-match interview. So she was walking towards me, and it happened in her presence. So she wasn't happy at all. So she told me to choose between her and Accra Great Olympics. Wow. And it was serious. So I had no option than to call it quits.
Well, Kofi's record read 2 wins, 1 draw and 4 losses. Enough to get a fan worried. In came Seth Hoffman, who left the job after 1 win, a draw and 2 losses in 4 games. Coach Arno Walker is in charge at the moment and has a win and a loss in 2 Premier League games and has managed an FA Cup win.
I guess it comes with the territory. And on that note, we'll end the news today. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Kate Ado, and I'm here because of International Women's Day, Each for Equal. Thank you very much for watching. For more news, go to My Joy Online. Thank you once again for watching. Have a good evening.